There's so many upgrades, so many ways you can spend money on a Royal Caribbean cruise, but which ones won't you regret later on? I've got my list up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanblog.com, and I want to know what's something that you've paid extra for on your Royal Caribbean cruise that you thought was totally worth it. Was it a splurge, an upgrade? Was it something you purchased and brought home, an experience, something in between? Boy, there are a lot of choices of ways to spend your money on a Royal Caribbean cruise. And, while Royal Caribbean does certainly include a fair amount of things to do and things to eat and things to see with your cruise fare, the reality is there's a lot more opportunity to spend extra money on certain activities and offerings that are not included with your cruise. And today I wanted to talk about 15 things that I don't think you're going to regret buying if you purchase them on your Royal Caribbean cruise. And listen, vacations aren't cheap, and every dollar counts, and every dollar that you save today is money that you could be spending on another vacation later on. And I get that. So I wanted to think about what are some things that I have spent extra money on that I did not look back on and say, gee, you know what, that might have been fun or not fun, but I wish I had my money back on that. These are things that I can say safely are worth the cost, and I'm going to break them down here in today's video, starting with number one, and that is a specialty restaurant dining package. I love the specialty restaurants on Royal Caribbean, but they ain't cheap. If you look at the cover charges for restaurants like Chops Grill, Izumi Hibachi, 150 Central Park, James Italian, you're probably spending easily $40 to $50 per person to dine at these restaurants, and that's a lot of money to be spending on a restaurant for only a couple hours. It's not like it's a shore excursion in which you're spending half the day there. It's just a lot of money. But I do believe the specialty restaurants packages that Royal Caribbean sells is absolutely worth purchasing because of the fact that it brings down the cost of these restaurants to a much more manageable number. When you buy a 3-night package, a 5-night package, or the unlimited dining package, you will absolutely positively save money on specialty restaurants. In fact, I often tell folks, if you're looking to eat at more than 2 specialty restaurants on your Royal Caribbean cruise, well, a specialty package is probably going to make a lot of financial sense for you because it just includes a lot at a great price. And if you can time it during one of the Royal Caribbean Cruise Planner sales to get a great price on one of these dining packages, it becomes almost a no-brainer at that point. And at the end of the day, it's really nice being able to visit some of these amazing specialty restaurants, which have gotten a lot of focus by Royal Caribbean because a lot of people do enjoy having other choices with their dining on board a cruise ship. And I think that if you're looking to dine at a couple different amazing restaurants, I think especially dining package is absolutely worthwhile. The worst thing I can say about them is that there's a lot of food. If you're doing the unlimited dining package over the course of a 7-night cruise, you're going to be eating a lot. You're going to often be, I think, coming to the conclusion of, it's included with what I paid for, and I appreciate that, but I wouldn't mind skipping this particular meal right now because we've just been eating a lot. That's not a bad thing. That basically means you're getting a ton of value out of your dining package. So number one, specialty dining packages start off our list. Number two is upgrading to a balcony cabin. There's always a great debate going on between whether or not you should go for an inside room and save some money or upgrade to a balcony cabin. And I often feel like most folks who say, you know what, we're going to upgrade to the balcony, whether that's a balcony or even a junior suite, even though it's called a suite, it's really just an extra large balcony. If you go up to those kinds of cabins, I feel like most people at the end of the cruise don't come back and say, you know what, I wish I didn't spend that money. It wasn't worth it. I think inevitably people love the fact you get not only a private balcony, but a lot more living space. Balcony cabins are, and for most itineraries, truly the way to experience a cruise. Having your private balcony with the open water around you, the ocean air coming into your cabin, and just having the ability to easily get out and see what's happening around you, especially when your ship is in port or coming into port or leaving port, I gotta say is so worthwhile. And that extra living space you get for having a larger cabin truly makes it worthwhile. Of course, the cost to move up to a balcony cabin from an inside room will depend on a variety of scenarios, and everybody's cabin upgrade price is going to be different. I'm just saying people that do pull the trigger on upgrading almost always come back and say, you know what, it was totally worthwhile. And if we're talking about cabin upgrades, I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the Royal Up program, because I'm sure there's a lot of people in chat who are going to be writing in the comments below, hey, Matt, what about Royal Up, which is the opportunity to systematically bid on a stateroom upgrade? Is Royal Up worth it? And today's video is about things you won't regret buying. With Royal Up, it's not always clear if there's actually an upgrade opportunity. Royal Caribbean uses Royal Up as a way to basically say, if there was an opportunity, would you be interested in booking it? But number one, that assumes there is a cabin upgrade opportunity. Number two, it's still a blind bidding program. So you have no idea what somebody else bid for a balcony room. Certainly, Royal Caribbean gives you an idea of what to bid, but That's just that. It's a baseline, and people go all over the place with it. So I think when we're talking about upgrading to a balcony room, I think the surefire way, the way to avoid regret, is to simply tell your travel agent, hey, I'd like to move up and pay a little bit more for my room. What's the price going to be? There's nothing wrong with Royal Up per se. I just think a lot of folks end up feeling frustrated at the end because it's not quite clear why they didn't get the cabin upgrade. Or even worse, they get frustrated because they got their hopes up that they were going to get that cabin upgrade and then it doesn't actually happen. So that's kind of why, for the purposes of this video, I'm steering clear of Royal Up, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad idea. Just you have to go into it with eyes wide open. Next up is a cabana. And whether we're talking about renting a cabana at Perfect Day at Coco Key or La Badie, every time I get a cabana, I never regret it. I love having that extra space, the shade, and of course, the great service you get with a cabana. When you rent a cabana at Perfect Day at Coco Key or La Badie, you're getting your own personal space for the day. And the cabana attendant will come there throughout the day to help you with any needs you have in terms of food or drink. So they'll bring you your food and drink at Coco Key. At La Badie, it's just drinks only. But having that service, especially when you're traveling with kids, is so worthwhile. And I love the fact that it provides a shelter from the sun, extra seating, comfortable seating, might I add, and a great location to boot. You know, when we look at a cabana for families, I think it is a slam dunk decision. Yeah, it ain't cheap. In a lot of cases, the price of a cabana can really run the gamut from anywhere from $400 or $500 to even $1,000 or more. In fact, the floating cabanas at Perfect Day, Coco Key, and the Coco Beach Club, man, those things go up to almost $2,000. That's a lot of money. I'm not necessarily talking about the floating cabanas. Let's relegate this just to the traditional cabanas you can find at Thrill Waterpark, Chill Island, or the Oasis Lagoon. And even those, I think, are worthwhile, especially if you can split the cost with another family. Then you can really reap some serious value out of that. And I just love having that extra service. If you're going to splurge somewhere, this is a big one right here. My next splurge that I think is worth buying and you won't regret it is the escape room. The escape room is a really fun activity for people on a Royal Caribbean cruise. Not all ships have it, but ones that do basically challenge you to solve a series of puzzles and clues within a certain amount of time in order to figure out kind of the escape sequence, the solution, if you will, to escaping the room. You have about an hour to do so. It's a lot of fun, and it challenges you across a variety of different thoughts, whether it's math or puzzles or logic. There's a lot of cool things happening, and each escape room is different. Yes, it costs money. Yes, I think it's a lot of fun, and you should definitely do them. Even if you've done one before on another ship, it's worth trying again on another ship that actually has an escape room on it, so definitely worthwhile. Next up, how about a souvenir from the ship you're sailing on? You know, there's nothing wrong with spending a little bit of money to have a little memento to bring back with you from the ship you were sailing on. Whether it's your first cruise, first time on that particular ship, or you just had a really nice time, having a memento is really great. So whether that comes in the form of a ornament, a sweater with the ship's name on it, a coffee cup with the ship's name on it, or something else adorned with that ship, I really like bringing home souvenirs that I can look at when I'm not on a cruise ship and then instantly remember a certain aspect of that cruise. Maybe I bought that cup right after something fun that we really did, or just the fact that, man, I had a great time on that particular sailing. Those little souvenirs sometimes can cost a little bit or a lot, but I love having a little souvenir from the ships you sail on. It helps really, I think, cement the memories in your mind. And more importantly, I would say also provides you with a way to kind of always remember that cruise instantly by association when you look at it. So I think it's definitely worthwhile. Something that's brand new and definitely made my list when I was thinking about today's video, that is Zone Zero. Zone Zero is a new virtual reality experience available right now only on Odyssey of the Seas, but I was blown away by it. Now, when I did Zone Zero on Odyssey, it was complimentary, but Royal Caribbean has now begun charging for it $18 per person. And I'm here to tell you, I would easily pay $18 per person to do it again, even though it's the exact same experience, because it was so cool. Without ruining it, essentially you put on a full virtual reality suit, not just a helmet, but the full suit, and then you go into a room where you can literally walk around a virtual world. And it's so much fun. You battle pirates. I walked away with it coming out of there, and I had the biggest smile on my face because it was just so different from anything I've ever experienced. It was the closest thing I think that I'll ever come to maybe Star Trek holodeck experiences, because it was just that impressive. So if you're going on Odyssey of the Seas, definitely check out Zone Zero. Something else that I resisted buying, but you know what? I never regret doing it in the end, and that is paying for the wash and fold laundry option. Royal Caribbean offers dry cleaning services, which are not inexpensive, but they also offer a wash and fold option where basically take a plastic bag, stuff it full of laundry, and they will wash it and fold it for you. No, it's not free, but But having clothes that are clean again that you can reuse on the cruise or just simply bring it back home so you have less laundry to do, I think it is worth the cost here. And I never regret the fact that I pay extra for some items to get laundered while on board my Royal Caribbean ship. After all, if you're going on a cruise during some of the warmer months of the year in which you sweat through clothes, you spill something on them, having the ability to get those clothes back in your rotation and not having them stained or smelly or stinky or soiled in any way is a huge get. Plus, it helps with the packing. Some cruises will go on, especially kind of the longer ones, maybe 7 nights or longer. I might tell my wife, you know what? I'm packing for maybe 4 or 5 days, and we'll do laundry on board the ship. Yeah, it's a little bit of money to be spent, but it makes our lives easier, and we're not bringing a second piece of luggage or anything like that in order to just complicate things, especially if you have to fly. So I think the wash and fold laundry is definitely worthwhile. To do the laundry, by the way, just ask your stateroom attendant for it. They will provide it for you in your room, and then you just fill it up. A couple days later, bam, it's back to you, and you can use it again, which is really, really nice. A common question I get about if they're going to regret purchasing this is the behind-the-scenes tour. So Royal Caribbean offers behind-the-scenes tours that you can see places like the bridge or the engine room or a variety of other backstage areas like the galley, which is the kitchen where they cook all the great food on Royal Caribbean. And people want to know, is it really worthwhile or is it going to be a waste of money? And I would say, if the idea of seeing these kind of places kind of interests you, if it sounds like, ooh, that would be fun, then yes, it is absolutely worthwhile. You will not regret purchasing it. Certainly, I would be the first to admit that a behind-the-scenes tour truly appeals mostly to somebody who has, I think, a interest in seeing how cruise ships are run. That's not necessarily everybody, but if that is you, I don't think you'll regret buying the behind-the-scenes tour. Something else that is kind of pricey, but I have never regretted buying it, is a Private Journeys shore excursion. Did you know that Royal Caribbean will actually book your own private shore excursions if you want through Private Journeys? That's right, Private Journeys is a relatively new option. It came out a couple of years ago, but I think a lot of people are still unaware that it is an option. If you want to do a private shore excursion that you customize, you can do that through Royal Caribbean. And the benefit by doing so is that it's still considered a Royal Caribbean shore excursion. So obviously all the benefits you get by booking through Royal Caribbean, a vetted tour operator, the ability to get back on the ship if your tour is late, the ship will either wait for you or Royal Caribbean will get you back on board somehow. All those benefits, all the reassurances you get by booking a cruise through Royal Caribbean are there, but you get to do what you want. It's really, really nice. I've done it in a couple different places, and I actually have plans to do it again when we go on a cruise on Navigator of the Seas out of Los Angeles, is Private Journeys. And I think every time I've done it, I have always thought, you know what? It was worth it to have that level of flexibility, but also have that back of mind reassurance that we're going through Royal Caribbean. We feel good about it. So, Private Journeys is not a cheap option. You're probably, depending on the length of the tour, where you're going and how many people you have on there, you're going to be paying significantly more than a group tour. But after it's all said and done, every time we've gotten back, my wife and I have always thought, you know what? We kind of think that was worthwhile, and Private Journeys is something that I think is definitely worth it. Next on my list is travel insurance. And travel insurance is one of those things that I hope you'll never, ever have to use. I actually hope you end up buying it every single time, never using it, and regretting it because you wasted the money for services you didn't need. But my goodness, if you ever needed the services that travel insurance covers, you will never regret buying travel insurance. So, like all insurance in life, you are probably going to end up paying for something you will never need. But if you ever do need it, having insurance makes a world of difference in making your life easier. And travel insurance is definitely among those items because it's just super helpful if you ever got hurt, injured, or anything else in between, some sort of a delay or cancellation, something that happens that's out of your control and it impacts your ability to enjoy or go on your cruise. Travel insurance is just something that just makes that so much better to handle. I'll admit, for years, I never did travel insurance because I was like, come on, me, travel insurance? I don't need that stuff. That'll never happen to me. And then eventually we ran into a scenario in which we wondered, what to do about a particular situation we were encountering. And at that time, I thought to myself, I really wish I had travel insurance right now. And ever since, we've always gotten it. So yes, you're probably paying for travel insurance you may not actually need or use, I should say. But I will say you will never regret buying travel insurance if you ever encounter a scenario in which travel insurance covers one of the many aspects of coverage that are included with most plans. So I would say travel insurance is well worth the investment. Something else I never regret buying is pre-purchasing the gratuities before my cruise. Now, one of the things that I try to always look for are ways to prevent a large bill at the end of my cruise. I always hated when the cruise was over. Well, I always hated when the cruise is over, but I really hated when the cruise is over. And then the last morning, I'd get that bill on my stateroom door and have all these things on here. And I'd say, who's charged all these things? And then I realized, wait a minute, it was me. But there are some things that can be avoided. And one of them is prepaying gratuities. I always tell my travel agent, prepay gratuities, because in my opinion, it is worth it to have those costs separated out and not part of the bill at the end of the cruise. If you don't prepay gratuities, they'll automatically be assessed every day of your cruise, which is fine. That works totally fine for some folks, especially if you have a lot of onboard credits to burn. But for me, I prefer to have it paid up front. So that way, number one, I don't have to worry about it. Number two, I know the crew members are taken care of. And number three, I'm not going to have a giant bill. So when it comes to gratuities, I never regret prepaying my gratuities up front. The next thing I never regret, and it's actually one of my favorite tips out there, is get a second room for your kids. You love your children, you love vacationing with your children, but spending the entire cruise in the same room as your kids, not a great way to do it. And in a lot of cases, getting a second room is one of the best tips I have for families, because a lot of times families are like, oh, we're traveling with our 2 or 3 or more kids. We're going to try to all be in one room, because that's typically how you approach most things in life. You go to a hotel room, you try to get a hotel room where you're all in there together. But on a cruise ship, it's really tight quarters. And if your kids are anything like mine, especially if they're a little bit younger, they go to a different bed at a different time than you. And the whole thing of, if you got lights on or if you're on your phone, man, it's just like an invitation to your kids to keep talking instead of going to bed, right? So nobody goes to bed on time. Getting a second room is a huge benefit because it gives you separation between your kids and yourself. You also get an extra bathroom and a shower, which if your kids are a little bit older is really important. And most importantly, you get to make sure that when your kids want to go to bed, they can go to sleep. You can go to sleep on your own schedule. It works really well. So getting 2 connecting rooms instead of 1 bigger room, even if that means going from a suite down to 2 connecting inside rooms or 2 connecting balcony rooms, is a better use of your money, in my opinion, because of the benefits you get by having 2 rooms. It's one of the best things ever. And a lot of times when I talk to families who try this out, they'll come back to me and say, you know what, Matt, you were right. 2 connecting rooms for families is definitely the way to go rather than 1 room. So I never regret it. Even if it does cost me a little bit more, it's well worth the cost. The next thing you're not going to regret buying is Waterpark admission to Thrill Waterpark at Perfect Day at Coco Key. I mean, at the end of the day, we are talking about water slides and wave pools, and they are just a lot of fun. If you want thrills in your private island day on Royal Caribbean, then check out Thrill Waterpark at Perfect Day at Coco Key. Thrill Waterpark has an additional cost to it, which means only those that purchase admission can come into the water park, and admission to the water park is priced per person and includes full day admission. There are enough water slides and pool activities to keep you busy all day long during your visit. While I've been to the water park a number of times, every time I've gone there, I've always walked away happy with my decision to go because it's a lot of fun. Maybe you don't need to go to the water park every single visit, but I never regret purchasing admission to it because it's hard to have a bad time when you're talking about water slides and fun in the wave pool. In fact, the wave pool alone is worth the admission for me. I love being able to go with the big waves and see how many times you can bob up and down. It's a lot of fun. And regardless if you got kids or not, I do think admission to the water park is a great way to spend your day at Perfect Day at Coco Key. So I never regret purchasing that. I mean, truly, when we're talking about a lot of the extra cost experiences at Perfect Day, whether it is the water park, the Coco Beach Club, the zip lines, these are all really fun things to do, and I have not regretted any of those purchases. But when it comes to the water park, I really like it each and every time we go. And so when the kids want to say, Daddy, can we please go to the water park? It's not much of twisting my arm in order to agree to go because it's always a fun time. At number 14, some of you may not agree with this, but paying to park at the cruise terminal, I have never regretted. Yes, paying to park at the cruise terminal will cost you more than paying to park somewhere else, but I'm telling you, the convenience factor is so worth it. Number one, I hate parking off-site and then having to deal with the shuttle service because you're competing with other people, and more importantly, the shuttle only runs periodically. It's not like they're going to take you the second you park your car and then bam, a shuttle appears to take you to the cruise terminal. No, they're going to wait for a bunch of other people to go, and then they take you there. If nothing else, perhaps it'll actually be on a timer. It's like, okay, we're only going at this time, and this time, so you got to wait around. Wasted time. Ain't nobody got time for that, including me. But I would say even more importantly than that, when the cruise is over and you're tired and you're depressed because the cruise is over, the last thing I want to do is go stand in line to wait for a shuttle and then wait to drive back to the parking area to pick up my car and then be on my way. I just want to be on my way. And the convenience that parking at the cruise terminal provides is unparalleled, worthwhile. And while it will cost more, I don't regret paying to park at the cruise terminal. And this concludes Every single cruise terminal in the United States I have gone to that I've parked there my own car, it has been worth it every single time. And the number 15 thing I don't think you'll regret buying is a WOW band on a Royal Caribbean ship. Not all ships have WOW bands, but WOW bands are a really cool idea. And basically, they're essentially optional replacements to your SeaPass card. Imagine a bracelet you can wear that allows you to open your stateroom door, charge onboard purchases, or check into shows and restaurants. They're made of silicone and come in a variety of colors: white, yellow, black, and blue. And they're only available on a couple of the newer Royal Caribbean ships, but not every single new Royal Caribbean ship. They actually use radio frequency technology that can be read by Royal Caribbean's readers, and they're found at kiosks, tablets, mobile scanners that Royal Caribbean crew members operate. And I gotta tell you, it is worth the $5 they charge in order to get one, because I love the convenience factor. If nothing else, I never regret buying a WOW band because it allows me to get back into my stateroom a whole lot easier. As a dad, I'm always carrying everybody's SeaPass cards, and inevitably I can never fish out the right SeaPass card from my pocket when I need it. But having the WOW band is just so easy because all I have to do is just flick my wrist over the reader and bam, I'm in my room. No fishing for cards required. And in addition to that, while the WOW band technology never really got rolled out the way I think Royal Caribbean might have intended or we would have liked to have seen, I think overall it's still a benefit to have it. And so for $5, I think it's worthwhile. So there you have it, the 15 things I don't think you're going to regret buying on a Royal Caribbean cruise. I'd be curious what items on this list you agree with, and if there's any that you think I missed, share your suggestions in the comments below this video of the items that you think are worth buying and you will not regret buying on a Royal Caribbean cruise. If you found this video helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on your notifications so that way YouTube lets you know when we have a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanblog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.